Oh, hello my dear ones. Oh, we got such a good crew out there. Look at this. Birthday everywhere. I got my office is full of balloons. Woo! Oh! I hope you're all doing well. And if you're not, let's help you get out of your trouble and get yourselves well. You know, everybody needs a good cold and flu-like symptom. Everybody. It's just how you manage yourself and how you manage your people through these things. I'm going to, I don't know, Megan handed me this case, and I'm going to go over it. I thought it was important enough to go over this. I haven't read it. I don't even know where we are. A SARS-like cluster of circulating bat coronaviruses shows potential for human emergence. Oh, and this was written, what, back in 2016? I know. You know what? That's just life. You know, it's difficult when you're in your mind to see the future, because you're not working in consciousness. You're working by thought, and thought's conditioned. So your mind is a computer conditioned to print out whatever you condition it to print out. And we've talked about this a lot. This is one of your problems in trying to understand truth. You're trying to understand through the mind channel. You can forget it, because you're only going to learn what man is conditioned to this point. It's like we're talking about in this particular anatomy physiology book here. Professional grade, you know, used in a lot of colleges. Wrong in so many places, and totally slanted to the medical mind. And that's where the problem is that our scientific community has been pulled and brainwashed into the medical mind, and therefore they look totally medical. Well, those theories are not based on truths. When you don't understand nature and how nature works, whether you're dealing in viruses or just cold air or whatever trips you into a inflammatory detox, so to speak, you know, if you don't know those things, then calling yourself a doctor is tough, in my opinion. If you don't know what fevers are for, calling yourself doctors are tough. And when you've got a pneumonia case, double, triple, whatever, or you've got some case on a respirator or what, or you got an asthmatic or COPD or that deals with corona or any other initiating factor, there's plenty. These people are compromised already. That's the problem in understanding. And you guys, especially you that's been to our classes and stuff, should know how to work your clients through these type of situations. Normal people just go through it. You know, you have a fever, you sweat it out, you get done with it. Maybe you do a bunch of orange juice or grape juice or whatever you do, right? Take some herbs, get the kidneys to flush, and you get through it and everything is good. Now you have a natural immunity to whatever, and now you can keep going on. Gives you an opportunity, the body cleans its lymphatic system, then you have an opportunity to take that and run with it and go deeper into the body and fix your problems. But you always look for a cold and flu-like symptom initially, and I beg for it, especially for you guys that have got tumors, goiters, lymph node swelling and stuff. You want this real bad, particularly lung tumors, brain tumors, things like this. You want this because this is the body pulling together its power through the inflammatory process to initiate detoxification. We want the body wants this protein out. So, and this is true with a lot of the proteins. You know, dairy, man is lived with dairy proteins, especially when it's pasteurized and stuff for a long time, but in reality it still initiates a mucosic response of mucus. So when you go through these cold and flus and you get all this mucus out, you have to realize that you put this in here, or your mother when you were in her, through the types of chemistry you were ingesting that is foreign to the human body. And this is just what your body does, it produces mucus. Well, when you after building up so much mucus in your body, the body will trip itself into cold and flus. Of course, you'll start to see mumps, measles, see all these type of things coming along on your journey of lymphatic Stagnation. So, if you have a clean body, what do you think? Come on, Mr. Corona, come on, right? Right. So the whole understanding of what man's going through right now, and I hope this ends up being an awakening, is that you can't fear what you have to go through. If it isn't the corona, it will be something, whether it's cold air, you've reached a max, and just drinking or eating a piece of cheese or something could throw you right into it. Doesn't matter. Wow. I still have some. It's good though. I tell you what. Anytime I have the opportunity, use that word opportunity. Because if you only knew how much it is vital that you allow your body to clean. Imagine, if you will, understanding this, as you guys do. Understand, most of you that have already went through tons of this stuff and got all this stuff out of you. Imagine what it's like when the medical community sees these as diseases that you have to treat and stop. So in understanding that your body cleans itself out so it maintains its equilibrium, its health, its homeostasis, all the things you assume involved in all this. And if you keep suppressing this, the need of, and the natural process of detoxification, which almost wouldn't exist if we were born from raw food parents, and we were raw foodists ourselves. We wouldn't see anything like these things. You wouldn't see any problems. No obstruction to the flow of energy because there's no disease. And proteins are the biggest obstruction to the flow of energy there is on this planet, believe it or not. And a lot of these, and we can also put slice acids, because that's the side of chemistry we're dealing with. And anybody that does not believe that or thinks otherwise, whether you're a chemist or not, you need to go back to school and rethink or get into some out of body so you can see the truth instead of reading books that have been slanted and corrupted a certain way. You know, if you know there's a lymphatic system in the body and you know what it's for, but you don't know that there's a lymphatic system in the brain, you want to make note of that. You don't say there is none. You say we haven't found it yet. But you know there has to be there. You can't, even in today's world, make positive assumptions and assume them as fact. And that's what's going on. And you just can't do it. I mean, you just get yourself out. Okay, so I want to read this one case. Megan told me about it just real briefly, and it doesn't sound... Okay, let's see. I don't know where to begin. Let me start off here. I am writing to you on the advice of your colleague, Victor from Sweden, regarding your son, our son, Philip, who is now diagnosed with so-called Rasmussen's encephalitis. Our doctors in Sweden, where we live, recommend I don't even know how to spell this properly, but it's hemispherectomy. In other words, separating each side of the brain, separating them. Left's dominant side of the brain would be totally disconnected, cut off from the rest of the brain, which includes temporary aphasia, hemopharosis, and it goes on, that he gradually should get better. He gradually should get better, recovered from, according to the statistics. I wonder when they started doing that. You know, when you have inflammation in the brain, anything that's an itis, guys, encephalitis, it doesn't, meningitis, I don't care what it is. That is the name for an inflammatory process. So we want to treat that inflammatory Oh, we don't want to treat that inflammatory. No, we don't, do we? No. So what's up here? I mean, if you looked at what system in the body initiates inflammation, you know that the cells themselves are the structure, function of the human body. Fluids are only carriers. So, which fluid do you think initiates the inflammatory process, and which fluid comes in to heal and then is brought in to fight that? So, when we look at the immune system, we're predominantly talking about what system in the body? The lymphatic system, right? Right. That's the body's sewer/lymphatic or immune system. That's where most of your immunity is in the lymphatic system. Why would it not be? You have some in the kitchen, so that shows you it's not through the kitchen that God considers the problem. It's through the lymphatics, through the sewer system that the lymphatics, that the problems arise. And this is the nasty sewage, acidic, fermentation, putrefaction system. I mean, this is your gases, this is in the lymphatic system. So you have to have eliminative organs to this system. You don't have eliminative organs on the blood system. The kitchen doesn't need to be eliminated anywhere. This is the food source. This is bringing in the bacon, so to speak, or the energy, the nutrition. Now, you have to have elimination, however. It's kind of like a car. You've got a fuel line, but doesn't really have elimination. It has filters like the spleen, but you don't have elimination port. And not true with the exhaust system, which is the byproducts from burning the fuel. Well, we have the same thing, and we've talked about this many times. And for man not to understand that shows extreme ignorance in the 21st century on this planet, in my opinion. That elimination is as vital as consumption, and that man's problem is proper elimination, a lack of it. And so, no matter where we're looking at, genetically compromised, weakened areas, it doesn't matter at all that we've been teaching you on top of this, where these genetically weakened areas are more compromised, much more, by not only inflammatory process, but, by all the things that we see. Stagnation of blood more, stagnation of lymph. But you got to realize that ischemia is that line where you start to get blood withdrawn from tissue, from cells. When that happens, you're going to feel it. Pain generally, beginnings of a heart attack or stroke. A lot of these, some can be headaches. Those are more spastic, in my opinion, acidic spastic conditions. But that's the thing we know. So if you're having blood problems, and the problem is you don't know that because medical doctors associate blood problems with everything. Nothing is really associated lymphatic except lymphedema and stuff, and then they don't get that, I guess, because if you have lymphedema, that means that your lymphatic system is backed up, and then of course you have the swelling or the inflammatory process initiating that because we're dealing in acids. So right there, you can see immediately there's a stagnation in the system. So that's going to pull you to the eliminative organs. Well, all right, some of you guys are really smart there. And one guy is going to naturopathic school. Have the professor describe to you how the body gets rid of metabolitic waste, and don't let him feed you the bullshit. It's through the venous system. Tell him, rethink that. All right, take that out of your consciousness, Mr. Professor. Take that out, what you were taught. Now use your consciousness, use your life experience, if you had any, to understand where's the eliminative organs of metabolitic acids. Not the blood. There's no eliminative organ to the blood. So there's no putting it into the blood and then there's eliminating it to that. Now there is a little, right? And where are we talking about? Spleen, lymphoid tissue. All right. Now, take the blood out. We know that's not where the body dumps metabolitic acids. No way in hell. All right, take that consciousness out. That's bullshit. That's a lie. Now, where's the eliminative organs of the lymphatic system? Well, I see 3 forms of elimination, basically. All right, I see poo-poo, stool. Right. So. But wait a minute, that's digestive waste. For the most part, that's digestive waste. Byproducts or things that didn't get digested or whatever going through the tubes, right? Because you have to remember, not everything you eat is absorbed. because you can't absorb a certain level of particles. So not everything is absorbed. And for most people have a huge amount of absorption problems. Hardly anything's absorbed in a lot of people. So it's not the colon. That's going to be more digestive ways. So that's going to deal more with the blood if we had to deal anything, right? So let me see. All right, we pee. Oh, okay. Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Where's that coming from? And that's where they miss it. Doesn't matter if they don't know it here yet. Doesn't matter, because what happens first is you as a scientist, you as an individual expression of God, discover something before it gets in these. Then you put as much you can together, and then you start putting it in the books. So there's so much undiscovered yet about the human body that's not even in the books, and there's some things in the books that have assumptions that can negate any discovery of something new, and this is part of the problem. Some of these preconceived ideas that the medical doctors have, and some of these, of course, pharmaceutical people, it taints their discoveries, to me, greatly. And when you're working with an idea of alkalosis in the human body, and that's what you're dealing your pharmaceuticals with, everything else, then you're dealing in a deadly game, and that's what they're doing. They're dealing in a deadly game. All right, so we were talking about this, right, on the last video. So in America, we've got about 10, 11,000 deaths in the corona. I forget at this time, we probably would have, almost 20 in a natural flu-like, right? So, okay, so at this point, then there's going to be, they're predicting, I hate that, they're predicting 50,000 deaths in America, predicting. Okay, so let's just say that they're right. I don't think you're going to see that level, but could. Let's say you got 40,000 deaths, right? 40,000. And we shut down the country for it, right? Right. Knowing these medical doctors, knowing that there are only few people are truly compromised, and we can go after those and protect those, not shut down the economy of the world. That's medical. That's stupid. That shows you what fear and consciousness drives. The ruin of humans. And humans need to get smart with this and stand up and not allow this to ever take place again. The stupidity involved here is astronomical. So, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I get Consumer Reports every month, and this the monthly magazine, the front cover had "Protect yourself from your hospital stay." Remember we talked about this. Protect yourself from your hospital stay. Well, that's where we go to get 440. That was on this one. Remember we said we can double that easy. If you nurses, you guys, I've been there, you guys know, we can double that easy. All right, so you got 440,000 recorded deaths from hospital errors. That's just hospital errors, not medical doctor mistakes, not stupidity, not any of these things like that. That's hospital errors. 440,000 people in America died last year. 40 on the coronas, perhaps, maybe not that high. 440,000. But that's not a pandemic. That's simply called sickening. So, this young lad has what in his brain? He has stagnation of lymph. And so it's interesting, though, which hemisphere, because when you look at the body, the right side of the brain isn't crossed like that. The right side is the right kidney, right side of the body. The left brain is the left kidney. So this, and all you got to do is get him on breaking out his bowels, because his bowels are going to be a mess. To have that up, his colon's going to be, you need to go after that. So you're going to go after that GI tract. You're going to go after, you're going to use, say, 3 lung to start breaking up any complex or hardened mucus from being acidic too long. Now, what we've got is we've got acidosis in the brain. We got inflammation of the brain, right? So we could just cut the brain in half. I mean, the stupidity, and some people ran on me. Really? How stupid? when you guys know that you can pull this inflammation out of this poor kid's brain and get him on and have a good life, come on. Philip is now 10 years old, born with cesarean section. Starting in November 2018, he had few generalized colonic tonic attacks during the night, just before or just after falling asleep. No increase in body temperature. Up until November 2018, it was a healthy child, excellent student, very social, and high moronic skills and cognitive functions. He has received all the vaccines according to the National Vaccine Program prior to the onset. So we know that mercury is a neurotoxin. We know mercury loves the brain. So we know mercury inspires inflammation. Could have been the vaccination as a medium of or a modus operandi. Changes in Philip's behavior has been noticed a year prior to the first epileptic seizure. Not able to sit still in school and start having short periods of being absent, as in daydreaming. Excuse me. Restless sleep. Frequent feelings of nausea, 1 to 2 minutes duration. See, I can just tell you, he's got a lot going on in his GI tract. And this is probably where the nausea is. Stomach, of course, is going to be the autonomic nervous system. Of course, he's going to have adrenal and kidney weakness. That's going to come with every child born on this planet from here on. So there's something you got to look at. Not filtering is obvious here. Restless sleep, he probably has, he's got a lot going on up here. And probably pituitary, pineal. You could guess pineal, but, with a case like this, transverse colon problems, I'm going to tell you it's probably going to be pituitary as well. So you're going to have to look at him with growth factors and stuff like that. Strange sudden temperature spikes, which would then come down to normal. Okay. He often had a fever, as shivering from a cold. All right. So you can see his endocrine glands were kind of going like this, like a Brady tacky or, hypo, that sort of thing. Focal attacks manifested themselves in the following way. Nausea, as in something is spinning in his stomach and then goes from stomach upwards toward throat and cheeks. And see, that's what I'm saying. I can just tell you he's got stuff going on in the gut here, in the GI tract. And of course, this is the seat of the autonomic, and that's just what can happen. You can start spasming. That's where a lot of migraines and headaches come from, is the stomach. You get over acidic in the stomach, you're going to get a headache from it. It's just the way it is. And so this is just a part of that. And of course, all that can cause spasms of the nervous system, the autonomic, right on up through the cerebellum, all of this sort of thing. Often accompanied with vomiting and red marks on his face and chest. I get it. Sometimes accompanied by tingles in the testicles. This is the autonomic. So you can actually have a feeling all around the body in strangest of places, all from the autonomic. During and after the attacks, he cannot speak, even if he does not lose consciousness. It's just sad to see a lot of this, and I won't say it's directly from that, but it could be vaccines. There's a lot of seizure cases just from vaccines alone that nobody hears much about, and it's sad because they should be crammed up in their faces, especially the seizure ones, because it's just not pretty. It's not good. It's not fun for the parents. It's not fun for the child. Absent, difficulty with speech and language. Heightened sense of smell. Interesting. Strange and unpleasant taste in his mouth. Would need to eject saliva. Frequent yawning in his sleep. Oh yeah, constant sleep movements. Yeah, he just is very acidic, very inflamed, if you want to use that word. So you have to open up this door. So when you know something is spastic, there's seizures involved or convulsions. There's burning in the head, loss of neural function, stuff like that. You could just about guess the vaccines had a direct impact on this. Not to would be strange. Just from neurotoxins in the foods that kids eat. I don't know. Not. I got this tickle, and he won't come out. Come on, baby. Sorry about that. You see what I'm talking about? So, what's your first move in a case like this? And we'll read on. It's pretty pretty long letter. But what's your first move in anything like that at all? You want an anti-inflammatory, which would truly mean acid, or antispasmodic diet, right? So which side of chemistry, number one, does all those fall on? The alkaline side of chemistry. So you're at fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables. Dang, I'm sorry, guys. Let me get that out of there. But you could give them some melatonin, not melatonin, but some pineal glandular. But, you've just got to get this young man detox. So what is the first thing you'd want to put him on? I'd want to put him on. He's 10 years old, but you got to get control of this lad. I would do all fruit first of all. Maybe throw him a salad at lunch here for a few days, but move him into a fruit diet. You got medical doctors that want to cut his brain in half. Sounds like they've done it many times before. And all you got to do is get his lymphatic system filtering through his kidneys. And you want to do it anyway. Because at 10 years old, if he's having this problem, you can just forget it. Because you're going to go into all kinds of paralysis, and you can go into all kinds of stuff that's not pleasant to think about. And so, but I'm here to tell you that vaccines this is a common side effect of vaccines, even as you watch it, because even though some people go right into seizures and stuff, others can take years. Why is that? Because the acidosis in the body is building to the point where all this collaborates together and creates that point, that magic point where things go spastic or whatever. In June 2019, MRI showed that he has inflammation of the brain. Hello. He didn't even need to go through the dyes and all that to know that. Hello. You guys can look at the case, see what's going on, and don't have to do anything toxic to that person. Because why? Because now this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. Wait for it. This is going to hurt, right? This is going to hurt, right? Because you do the same thing to everybody almost. Ouch. No. These are all diseases, man. No, these are all inflammatory processes in different locations that make you think they're diseases, and they're not diseases. That concept is idiotic. It not takes into account of physics. Oh, wait a minute, I'm in pseudoscience. Okay, we'll forget that. Because for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction. Oh, no, that's pseudoscience. Just saying. He has been on a ketogenic diet from July 2019. I can understand that, but I'm glad you got a hold of us, because none of these things are going to help this young lad. You're going to get in and get this kid detoxed and get the bowels cleaned up. You got some work to do here. You might be seeing it up here, but I'm telling you right here, and the kidneys are your doorways. And you just told me that by verifying to me that the stomach has problems. That's common. I've seen this for years. So you've got to get all this out of here. Well, what's the one thing, since it's all inflamed, spastic, and convulsing, what side of chemistry would you not want to put someone on? Come on, chemists, get it going. What side of chemistry would you not want to put this young man on? And which they will put him on. Proteins. Acids. That's the one thing you never would want to put this child on, because he would go right into convulsing even worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And the ketogenic has proteins in it. You want the most hydrating alkaline diet you can get ASAP, and get those kidneys to filter ASAP, and get that bowel opened up. Or there's not a damn thing you're going to be able to do for him. I've been doing this 50 years, and I've seen these cases all over the place. You might be on a little antispasmodic, but it doesn't sound like that's helping him at all. But that's one thing I'd have him on, is that when he takes his normal herbs, throw him an antispasmodic in there. You could give this child an antispasmodic, a dropper full every hour if you had to. You're not going to kill him. And so that also, what's interesting with nature, of course, those particular herbs are not only antispasmodic, they're also strengthening of neurons. So they strengthen as well as act as an antispasmodic. Oh, this is so beautiful. I don't know a pharmaceutical alive that can even come close. Brain, temporal lobe, yes, yes, yes. That was spread in the occipital part, yes, yes, yes. And listen, it's all through him. I mean, you might as well. You're talking about a system that's down all through him. And there is down through his right hemisphere as well as the left. Don't make no mistake that it's only on one side. Yeah, you might see the biggest problem on one side, but you're talking. Now, you know, both kidneys are probably not down the same, so his one side's probably filtering better. That's why you don't see as much on that side. Yeah. Yeah, this kid's been to ICU. I mean, he's had a lot of problems here. It introduced a lot of medications here. Some anti-seizure here intravenously. It reductions of seizures short-term, resulted in short-term only. See, and this is sort of thing. They're trying to throw all this chemical crap right at them. Glucocorticoid introduced currently at 8 months. Seizures were stopped by introduction of I can't pronounce that one or that one. Both these were later excluded from the therapy when Philip exited ICU. So from December 19 to January, improvement was noticed. Lower number of generalized seizures, which always start from the right shoulder, then spread to the right leg. However, EEG is showing 10 seizures per hour. 10 seizures per hour in duration of 1 to 2 minutes. You've got to get up in there. And here's another thing I would do. I would use the bones and connective tissue formula on him, right? Not only the antispasmodic. Now, let's say that there is I can just tell you with just knowing cases that there's transverse colon involvement big time here. There's probably some radius solaris up in, at least partly up into the pituitary pineal area. The stomach, of course, is right along with that chronic gut and that sort of thing. You're definitely going to find kidney and adrenals here. I was going to tell you something there, but anyway, I would definitely be going after that. The kidneys, the adrenals, use an antispasmodic with that. I'm going to guess pituitary is involved on this one. A picture of his eyes would definitely show us everything we need to know here. But let's just talk like I think we're going to be seeing here. We're going to be seeing a pituitary problem. In that, we could see all types of endocrine gland problems, and I'm going to submit to you that there is a parathyroid issue here as well, and that could greatly affect calcium utilization, which would then create more vulnerability for spasticity and seizures. Add that to the adrenals, which we know is problematic, probably a great deal of malabsorption going on. So the absorption of nutrients is going to be low. This is where a good IV of herbals would be great. IV herbals, IV herbal nutrition, because its effect upon cells, where pharmaceuticals' effect upon cells is always negative, because everything is suppressive in nature as far as I'm concerned. Except for your steroids and everything else that you play those games. Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting there thinking that your child is going to get better on anything out there, other than to get into these tissues and detox them and get all this acidosis out, which will back down the inflammation, everything will come down by strengthening through the calcium channel. the neurons and the myelin sheaths, and that's also included by increasing neurotransmitter production out of the adrenals. That's why you want to kick up the adrenals. You want to kick up neurotransmitter production. Believe it or not, proper neurotransmitter production strengthens neural response, where weakening it creates spasticity. And then add to a weakened myelin sheath, add that to neurotoxicity, let's say from thimerosal or some other mercury derivative from pharmaceutical worlds. You've got to have this or you're going to die crap. So you could just, Fiddle's face often shows redness, and on one side of his face and ear become hot. Huh. What side of chemistry, I wonder, are we talking about? Most frequently on the left side. Speech deterioration is noticeable. I just say cut his brain in half and get done with it. Oh my God, that makes me want to throw up. If he's showing signs of fatigue and his right arm is constantly shaking, oh yeah, I mean, none of this is good, and it's not going to lead you anywhere good. For parents, it's going to be a serious heart thing. Good news, all fixable. All fixable. And not by cutting his brain in half. Jesus. You know, he's very fixable, and he's young, and you'll be able to get him going. In the last 10 days, the number of generalized clonic seizures has increased just the right side of the body. These seizures occur once every evening, just after falling asleep, and once in the mornings. Interesting, you know. Last couple of days, his left arm and finger shaking as well. No, you know, this is just going to be one nasty case. Unless you get yourself moving. Oh, yeah, they're giving him all kinds of crap. All kinds of crap. Lorazepam. I mean, he's on so many freaking things that'd knock a bull off. He's on magnesium, high doses. Here's the problem with magnesium, and I know what they're trying to do as an antispasmodic, but magnesium is a twin sister to calcium. And if he's having parathyroid and calcium-related problems, by giving him high-level magnesium, he could seize more, actually. Because what you're doing is you're going to push out what little calcium that he is utilizing, if he is any. Because you can't take more of one thing and not expect it to affect the other side of chemistry. This is not a void universe. This whole planet, this whole world, the physical world is already built. The atoms are already being used. There's none free out there. The elements. So things are already full, unless science has found voids. You know, they're thinking black holes might be voids, you know, and things like this, but at the most part, you're talking about full. So when you're talking about playing the game of chemistry, then if you're going to throw a lot of magnesium in this kid, what are you going to do with the calcium? Because you're going to shove it out and probably affect little brother phosphorus with it, meaning you're going to lose bone matrix. Meaning he'll go start fracturing and everything else easy too. I mean, this goes on. I mean, you got to be real careful how you do things. And medical doctors, all they know is just what they're doing right here. That's all they know. And it's interesting they're picking up the magnesium, but we do that. No tumors found in the body. Whole body MRI screening was performed. And let me ask you, was there dye involved? I hope not, because that dye could throw him into seizures right there. Remember, they're being sued big time. Keto diet, 10% carbs since July 2019. And you wonder why he's doing worse. I make a high suggestion to you. That's why I'm doing this video right now for you, because cutting a brain in half for this problem is, you have done nothing to fix anything with this kid. Now, you want 100%, you want to save this man, you want 100% raw. No keto, no bullshit, nothing. You want 100% fruits, berries, and melons. No vegetables. Fruits, berries, and melons. As soon as you can get there, I would. But you only have him on 10% carbs. How much protein? See, what you don't realize is that the protein is the acidic side, which exacerbates seizures. Give anybody that does seizures, just give them a high-protein diet and watch what happens. Doesn't take a rocket scientist, guys. These guys are king-size stupid. And I'm not going to lad up on them until they change. Because we can't. They're destroying the human bodies. Let's just cut his brain in half. Desperate parents. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to get this up for you and we'll email you. We've got that. I don't see it on here anywhere. And try to get this up to you, okay? Because that's... you can save this kid pretty easily. But they're doing, they're doing what they know what to do. I can't fault them with that, but still. Oh, this is funny. They noticed I have a medicine bag up here. And this guy says, I want to thank you for the truth usually, as one of the empaths and love animals, I have had a hard time receiving what you are saying. Yaddy, daddy, daddy. Well, let me suggest this. If you want to know the ultimate God, let me suggest you get a control of that empath, or it could take you to places you might not like, man. No offense, Andrea. No offense, honey, but and I noticed you sent me a PETA brochure. I belong to PETA, I do, but I don't have the strong feelings that PETA does about things, and some of these guys are stupid here. Some of the things they've done I disagree with wholeheartedly. So I'm not really a PETA person. You get way out there, a little bizarre there. You have to understand who you are, what your body is, and what planet you're on. And the realization that animals here are slaughtered for food. Too bad, ain't it? Sad. It is sad. But it's the way of this planet. And if you want to make a change in that, there's no question about talking up about not eating animal foods and stuff like that. And I'm hoping that man will reach that point where he doesn't do that. But I like my leather. I like my leather shoes. Cows die, just from natural causes too. You can use the leather. A lot of things like that. But we raise these animals. And look at it in the wild. People go shooting. I mean, most people think they have to have meat. So if you're a PETA lover, you would, at this level, you have to be a raw foodist, or at least a total vegetarian. That'd be the only way. But I like my leather projects. I like really nice leather. I really do. But I also love my animals. Very much so. But I also have been into animal consciousness. I've been into plant consciousness. I know what's up and what's going on the planet spiritually. So, I personally am not a meat eater that way, but it's sad what they do with animals and how they butcher them and kill them, and even sadder how they pharmaceutical companies experiment with them. I mean, it just makes me want to throw up. Sad. Because we raised horses and we had cows and we had all kinds of animals, and one of my first, kind of like freakouts was, I was real small. I was over to my aunt's house or something for probably Turkey Day or something, and off went the head of a chicken, and I just saw the axe go down, flop, the head goes off, and the chicken's flopping. Well, for a young kid, it's like, holy crap, that was shocking. So yeah, I get it. I do get it. But I'm a warrior guy. I don't. If you want to play those games, true. I did a year radio station with a Native American, and I love Native Americans. But you've got to get your head out of this planet, or this is where you're going to keep reincarnating too. You got to understand, you guys are these magnificent, and I won't take you even higher into who you really are, which some of you already know who you really are, but as individual manifestation of the One, this is all the One. You can't kill anything. None of you might not realize that you can't kill anything. It looks like it, but you can't. Nothing dies. You can't destroy and disappear anything. There's nowhere to go. Believe it or not. There's nowhere for energy to go but just be. Because it's all one. There's no adding to that in any way, shape, or form. It is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent, as Christians talk about. There's no beginning, there's no ending to that. And that's what NASA's finding out when they're starting to see these, what Lang was telling me, millions, I'm thinking hundreds of thousands of galaxies that they've discovered, Just a few galaxies, few million galaxies that they discovered. I don't know, but that's a lot. But hundreds of thousands, That one picture I have in that one video of yours, that was 110,000 galaxies, I think, or 120,000 galaxies with a Hubble telescope. Holy crap! And I told you we had a lady that worked on the Hubble from NASA in our class a few years ago. She was an interesting lady. Yeah, it was fun stuff. But I honor all life, but also know that you have to understand that when you're taking a form of a cow, there's actually a progression of awareness, and that when your time is done, you're actually looking forward to getting out of that one into the next one. I could tell you things that freak you out where I've been. I tell you, the masters did a lot of training with me in places, and I've been to some places that you guys might not understand, but I can just tell you that from a consciousness viewpoint, can't hurt any animal. And from a consciousness viewpoint, when you're in a particular embodiment, you're looking forward to going to the next one, let me tell you. Whether you're, I'll just give you a clue, plant or animal or human. You know, humans have such a fear of what they don't understand. It's amazing. But once you've been out of your body, once you travel out, and of course once you start connecting to consciousness, and you see that in all things, whether it's a beautiful cow, or whether it's a beautiful horse, or a little kitty cat, or a dog, it does not matter. Or another human, it does not matter. All life cannot be destroyed, only changed. That's your physics, learn your physics. So I get it, but don't shut off truths just because you don't like my leather medicine bag. A Native American made that, and I was honoring that Native American by buying it from him, and honoring the cow because I get to show that cow for years to come. See? You look at the positive side of things. This name is Charles. Hello, Charles. I'll keep it short. Thank you. I want to do God's work and heal the people. I'm very deeply interested in becoming a naturopathic doctor. I would like to apply to SCNM and was wondering what I can do throughout the application process to help myself stand out and be more competitive. Do they like have a selection process or something? Despite my lack of medical experience and background in exercise science. Oh, hey Charlie, listen, man. And this goes for each and every one of you. Each and every one of you would make a fine healer. And I know some of you don't want to get involved, and I don't blame you because it's not as easy as you think. It's not about knowing what to do. It's about suffering and the sadness that you run into with all these cases and the suffering levels. And you have to understand some spirituality because you understand that soul, and we'll just use that as an individualization without some degree of definition, that soul created this karma, because that's the only way you can go through something is create it yourself. You're totally experiencing your world, whether you're taking someone else's advice or following this or doing whatever. You're only experiencing your own mind, your own emotions, all of this. You might recognize someone else's pain because you've had similar pain, but you really can only reference what you've experienced. That's why if you haven't experienced it, you don't have a reference point. That's why in consciousness there's no reference points. And that makes it very difficult because there's no navigation. There's no going anywhere. Where in creation there is total navigation. And without the mind and memory, it can get pretty wild out there. You know, I mean, you're in the now and everything is new constantly. Some people I see every day here, but I don't see them but once a year, if you know what I mean. I mean, I can walk in the office and hug everybody, and I haven't seen them in a long time, but actually I just saw them yesterday. Because I try to live in the present moment. There is no time. You're not living in memory. And you're not living in memory, then nothing comes up that's in memory. Because you're in present moment. So, I'd recommend you go through our school, number one, and I'm not just saying that. It's not that expensive. I'd recommend you get Get that. So when you go to naturopathic school, you go whatever, you already know what causes everything, and get your hands dirty. Start helping people, help your friends, start working it. And then when you go to naturopathic school, you already know what you can do. You already know chemistry and physics. You know, get on that online class. That online class, I'm looking for feedback, but I'm really proud of that online class. And I'll be expanding. Well, I'm going to expand these online classes, level 2 and iridology. Iridology is next, and I'm going to have a whole discourse series on iridology. I'm going to make sure you guys know how to read eyes, and you will be the best because no one understands lymphatic iridology. We just brought it out. So, and we just brought out the more complete side of the lymphatic system. So between these two things, you guys are equipped with the power and the understanding to heal anything. Even this poor young lad with a form of encephalitis or a form of inflammation in the brain. Wherever that is. What you guys know is the same. So don't spend a lot of money going to naturopathic school, and understand what we teach you, and then you'll have a heads up in naturopathic school. And you really want more naturopathy than naturopathic medicine. Naturopathic medicine is an oxymoron, because we are not into medicines. We can call herbs medicinos, I guess, whatever, but they're not. In America, herbs are classified as foods. So we're allowed, let me bite on something, to stay open, because we deal in the health field. But, and look at everything. Look at all the different sciences of color. But remember the basics of physics and chemistry, because that is the pillars that all sciences rest upon. Whether someone calls you a freak or pseudoscience, anybody that calls us pseudoscience, it's got to be in the medical field, and they have their head so far up where the sun don't shine, they don't even know what they're doing. Because we talk about the pillars, the basic premise of pillars of duality, and if you don't understand that, then you can't possibly understand chemistry. And then how does chemistry move from looking at the body thinking it's in an alkalotic state as opposed to an acidotic state? I don't get that at all. I mean, that's really weird. So, when you start looking at the whole thing, the processes of metabolism, the processes of activity, walking, running, all that sort of thing, the processes of oxygenation and breathing and stuff, all you're finding is fuel coming in and acids going out. And that's what you always want, alkaline fuel going in and acids going out. Cars the same way, everything's the same way, and you hope in nature. Alkaline fuel coming in and acid exhaust going out. Whether you're peeing it out or sweating it out or exhausting it out in your exhaust pipe of your car, it is essential that be done, or inflammation sets in. You have no reason to have an inflammatory response if things are going in and coming out, whether it's a corona or whether it's mercury toxicity from vaccines, which I'm going to tell you is probably in this case what you're going to find. However, that's just the exacerbator. It's sitting on top, and I'm going to tell you, chronic GI tract, probably chronic kidney and adrenals. You can go on with this child. Interesting to see if they have nerve rings, which is a real possibility as well. So, good case. All you guys, don't any of you ever be afraid of this case. We had a level 1 or 2, I think, was a little afraid of this case. No, don't be afraid of this case. No. Don't be afraid of any of these inflammatory cases. You know immediately what to do. You keep it simple. You're not treating this young lad. You're curing him. You're fixing him. You're fixing the cause of his inflammatory problems. And that's all it is. As fancy as the words get, and as long as they get, and as long as the medications are, it is still an inflammatory process dealing with the acid side of chemistry. And you still have your son on proteins. Yeah, you can expect the seizures just to keep getting worse and worse and worse because you haven't done nothing to make them better. So I hope this helps you, and I'll be glad to help you with protocols and stuff like that, because you want brain and nerve, upper circulation, you want 3 lung, you want your antispasmodic, you want 3 kidney formulas, or 2 kidney formulas at the very least. I would do 3, 1 lymphatic 1. I would do a liver gallbladder formula with that. You want a stomach and bowel formula with that. You want to move him into GI broom. I mean, you're really starting to move, hydrate and move. This boy should be on a fruit, berry, and melon diet, and if you can't get him there, you're going to have a hard time. You got to get this young man on 100% raw at the very, very least, and shift him as much as you can away from vegetable matter. This is serious stuff. This is the central nervous system we're talking about. And now you're talking about the highest energy center. You know, your electrical system is just that. So when you're talking about foods, you would never want to give this young man cooked foods, proteins, milk, stuff like that. That'd be the thing to send him into Hellville. No, you want hydration. You want antispasmodics, anti-inflammatories. What are those? Fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables. Fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables. Fruits, berries, melons, and vegetables. That's it. But with this lad, get rid of the vegetables. Very important. So that's what I would do, Charlie. I love you guys. I'm going to make this a short video. And, but you keep sending it in. I get it. But don't stop listening to the truth because I like leather. Hell no. But I like moo cows too. Yeah. You know, the consciousness has to shift, and as the consciousness shifts, it'll shift. But there's a lot of animals that die that you can use their leather from just of natural causes too. All you ranchers and farmers know that, don't you? So, you know, I mean, you have to realize the world you're in. And if all your focus is making this world perfect, you'll reincarnate back. You want to make sure you're perfect. And since you already are, what part of you is? You know, the human body has its ups and downs, its chemistry and everything else, so that's not infinite. It dies off and, you know, has pain in it, but you don't. So that's what I'm saying. All this attention and all these things on Earth and your spirit Earth and all this, let me tell you, you ain't talking about nothing compared to where you guys come from. You're talking about a world far, 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 far away from where you guys come from. So you can keep playing in that world far, 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 far away called planet Earth, or you can wake up and turn your consciousness around and awaken to the higher levels, and you'll be in the heavens, and then you won't play so much on planet Earth. It doesn't matter. Everything here has birth, life, and death, like it or not. And when you're raised for a certain factor, you're raised for a certain factor. And it looks bad when you look at it from the emotional astral side, but when you understand that nothing, including the cell, nothing dies, changes form. Consciousness cannot be destroyed, whether it takes the form of an animal, a plant, an airplane, or a car. You cannot destroy consciousness, no matter how bad you think it is. The mind, of course, is that instrument that hides your awareness. That's that instrument that dominates your attention because we love to think all the time. We love to plan and think and, you know, and gossip and backbite and talk bad about others and stuff like that, don't we? No, but that's all the mind. See? And once you get out of the mind, then you're not like that. Then your divine love comes through. You come through. And you start seeing, you know, nothing matters. Nothing matters. And you got to get there, guys. Nothing matters. Because if it matters, it's got a hold of you. Remember Kung Fu and David Carradine, and the old master he was young then in the very beginning. And they were talking about desire and the desireless state, because Buddha, remember the desireless state? The desireless state simply means you don't have a desire for it. You don't want anything, you don't need anything, because you're fulfilled in the present moment. Now, you must also understand that you got to feed the body, you got to wash it, you got to put clothes on it and stuff like that. And some yogas and some people just get out there and then they lose the ability to take care of themselves. No, you walk the walk. You're the living truth, and you have to live it all the way through. You know, sometimes you get too much meditation and too much out there, and then you lose your power in a different way. You've got to be power all the way through your bodies. You got to bring your consciousness through the bodies, not lose it in the bodies. I don't know how to describe that. But that's where your real fun begins, because you become free. Remember Pharrell Williams wrote a song called Freedom Kingdom. He couldn't have hit it right on the head any better. Freedom equals the kingdom. You cannot enter the kingdom. Any of you guys, I don't care who you are, Hindus, Buddhists, Christians, you can't enter the kingdom until you enter the omnipresence, omniscient, omnipotent level. And that means you've got to let go, surrender, and let go of everything. Let go of your concept of differences. Let your concept go of anything that's duality, male and female. Let your concepts go of all life and just be. Be the observer, because that's what God is doing. It is looking through you, me, and everything else, its creation, because that's how it rocks. It is the one. There's nothing outside of it. So everything is it experiencing itself, and that includes you. And that includes the cow, and includes the dog. So all this was set up not by you, and yet it was all set up by you. But David Carradine was looking at the Master, and the Master was talking about having no desires. And having no desires, you are totally free, right? So David Cain says, Cain, the young student of Chila, said, "Well, Master, you have no desires?" And the old Master looked down and said, "Yes, my young man, I do have one desire. And that is to be at this marketplace in the year of whatever, the dog and whatever," right? Excuse me. And then Cain says, "Well, that's not much of a desire." And the old man said, "But it is a desire nonetheless." And that what tripped it into, which whoever wrote that was pretty good, because that tripped the old man into meeting Cain in the street, which then the nephew of the prince killed the old man, and then Cain killed the nephew, and that started the series. Well, I love you guys. Thanks for listening to this old man. By God. But don't be afraid to take on these cases. We're here to help you, and know what you're doing. Know how simple it is. Do not get confused. And this other thing he brought up here, and I want to just cover this one more time. He says here, "Despite my lack of medical experience, I went into hospitals just for the fun of it, to gain some information and knowledge. And I had my practice kind of shut down for a while because I was teaching more spiritual classes, and I didn't think the world was ready for this level of healing. It's been such a struggle. And so I got to see all this. I went and took a lot of these high-level tests for EEGs, EKGs. I did all those. I learned the advanced life support, where you have to intubate and run codes. So I had to run a code and stuff like that, and that's what you do. So, and I had fun doing that, but I also got to see the real shortcomings of that. Naturopathy. Naturopathic medicine is what medical doctors have tried to home or pull naturopathy into. And it's also what some of us did. Not me, but this inner need of some people to have the ego in medical. That's what you don't want. That's the furthest thing I'd ever want to be as a medical doctor, because you paid a lot of money for ego. And you can't cure anything. You don't know what causes anything. And it's a pretty bum place to be. Oh, you got a nice car, a nice house, and a big ego, but when it comes to humans, you don't know how to fix them. And that's the problem we have. Have your cars if you want, your houses, but you got to learn how to fix people. Can't kill all these people. And protect yourself from your hospital day. 440,000 people die a year here just from hospital errors. Well, if you add iatrogenic, you add what medical doctors kill, add those, and you really bring the numbers more appropriately up, and then you bring in medications and stuff, you're up in the millions of deaths a year in America alone by the allopathic community. Now, why wouldn't I want to speak out on that? You just keep my mouth shut. We all can just keep our mouth shut, right? No, wrong. So, as it sees part of itself going off, it'll bring another part of itself over to fix it. And that's just what's going on here, all right? But you want a school that teaches naturopathy, the sciences of nature. You want good chemistry. But the problem with chemistry, you got to understand the pillars and everything else. Physics, understand a little physics, botanicals, color therapy. Understand naturopathy, you should have coursework with everything. I had to know massage therapy. I had to know chiropractics. Matter of fact, in Lisbon, this friend of mine, Dr. Baptista, that owns the University of Science and Biology and whatever, I mean, he doesn't give naturopathic degrees. You've got to become almost an osteopath to get a naturopathic degree, and then you've got to go through all of those to get your iridology degree. So you're going to a lot of schooling to get these, and you don't really need that much schooling, because what are you going to teach? You're going to teach A and P that's not true. I mean, you're going to teach the basics, of course, how the body works, but you want to be careful about teaching untruths, because it just passes the lie on down. And when you write it in the affirmative, an assumption or a theory, write it as it's a proven fact, that's when you cross the line to me. And that's what they're doing in these books. They're writing these things and saying, well, we're not sure that there is. That would be more appropriate. It might put you out there like, well, if you don't know, you're the medical community, you should know. Well, that should put them into where people need to understand what they really don't know. And puts everybody on a playing field that everybody can understand. The lies that are perpetrated, the narcissism that's perpetrated, makes people not understand, and it goes to them. Oh, well, we'll just go to them. They know what they're doing, when they don't. Like, we're going to cut this little man's brain in half because he has inflammation in the brain. Y'all hear that? Let's fix that 10-year-old up, get him back to normal, get him healthy, get those kidneys fixed and get all his genetics built back up, get that young lad strong again, and you'll have a young lad who'll never have any problems again. But he's going to go through some ups and downs during detox. Be prepared. Cold and flu. Oh, he's going to have a flu. Be prepared. Going to have a fever. Be prepared. Understand why and how important. Now, you got seizure medication and you got antispasmodics with us. And as you open up the kidneys and keep them hydrated, then the blowback on that is probably not going to be much, and you'll be able to pull him through this. Give me a picture of his eyes. And happy birthday. Crap, 70 years old. Ugh. Love you guys.